Are you ready to kick off who you're talking about?
Yep. I am talking about Bryson Washington, the running back for Baylor today.
Okay.
Coming in at 6'2", 203. He is a junior this year, so he is eligible for the 2026 draft, though I don't expect him to enter this year. Coming from high school was a 3-star recruit, actually athlete 59. So he was a defensive back / running back, kind of played a couple different positions in high school, came from Texas, was originally committed to SMU, and then decided to switch to Baylor. And his freshman season really didn't do too much, 10 carries for 45 yards. Being a 3-star running back, no one really thought much about him. He wasn't really on too many C2C radars or Debbie radars. And then this past year in 2024, was the breakout star for Baylor. In his first game against Air Force, 12 attempts, 106 yards, and a touchdown. It was kind of his coming out party. Like, well, it's Air Force, though. So, we'll see what happens. The next 3 games doesn't really do too much. Colorado, 21 yards, BYU, 31, Iowa State, 28. So, okay. No one's really talking about Bryson Washington still. But then against Texas Tech, 11 rushes, 123 yards, 2 touchdowns, and all of a sudden he's on everyone's radar.
There we go.
And from there on, the rest of the season, Bryson Washington was truly one of the breakout players, someone that we were picking up off waivers in C2C, someone that, we were starting to circle as, hey, keep an eye on this guy for the draft. I actually, in week 10, he played against TCU, had 26 carries for 196 yards and 4 touchdowns, Mike. I mean, he started to become the offense for Baylor. And then I was lucky enough to go to West Virginia against Baylor, so Baylor at West Virginia. And in that game, while I sat in the stands and also in the pretzel line to get pretzel from my wife, 18 carries, 123 yards, 3 touchdowns. So Bryson Washington, over the course of those back-to-back games, 7 touchdowns, ended the season with 12 touchdowns, 177 carries, 1,035 yards, averaging 5.8 yards per carry, is over the 4-yard mark for yards after contact per attempt, and hopefully only getting better. So Bryson Washington, the starting running back for the Baylor Bears this year, who start off their season against Auburn week 1, an out-of-conference matchup. So we're going to get to see who Baylor is right off the bat, and I'm really excited about Bryson Washington kind of being one of those sleeper running backs, someone that's definitely going to be useful in college fantasy football, but also I think has the potential to be someone that we're talking about as the day 3 prospect.
Yeah, and it looks like I'm seeing a couple things here. It looks like their leading rusher the last couple seasons, Richard Reese, has kind of been pushed out from what I could see, and I'm sure Bryson Washington has something to do with that.
Yep.
The next great Baylor running back following in the footsteps of Abram Smith.
It's been a while.
Baylor hasn't put much into the NFL, but I think
it's a far cry from those like RG3 days. I felt like those teams were stock full of talent. They had some wide receivers out there. I'm trying to remember who. There's like wide receivers were in the RG3 days, but some of them were pretty good. And we talked about they don't have 2012 data on PFF, so I can't tell you. But
the funny thing about Baylor is they don't always put the most players in the NFL, but they're always fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, so
they are. Yeah, look here. Here you go. I'm gonna pull up one of these wide receivers. Corey Coleman, 2016 first round pick to the Browns.
Yeah,
that's someone to keep. Tyquan Thornton out of Baylor. Denzel Mims. How could we forget?
I remember Denzel Mims. What's a good old Denzel Mims up to today?
That's a good question. They also put into the NFL Kendall Wright, if you remember him, wide receiver. Terrence Williams went to the Cowboys. They had a couple of wide receivers really going to the NFL there for a while, but yeah.
Denzel Mims is a St. Louis Battlehawk.
All right.
So
Jalen Hurd, also from Baylor. Remember him?
Oh, yes. Forgot about Jalen Hurd. All right, Nate, I'm going to talk about a running back as well, and he's also from the state of Texas. So you and I are really cued in this week. It's Quinten Joyner. It's a running back for Texas Tech. He's standing 5'11", 216 pounds. He's eligible for the draft in 2027. Well, technically, he could come out this year. I think it's going to be 2027. He's a 4-star prospect and a 4-star transfer. I didn't want to write down all his offers. Here's the notable ones. And when I say notable, I'm talking bigger programs or programs that have put good running backs into the NFL. Okay. Pitt, Penn State, Indiana, Vandy. You're like, oh, Mike Vandy. It's an SEC team, so they count. Oklahoma State, Nebraska, Purdue, a Big Ten team. All right, relax. Tyrone Tracy. TCU, USC, Oregon, Arkansas, and Mississippi State. He committed to USC on April 19th, 22, transferred to Texas Tech December 19th, 2024. Now, we've talked about this when we talked about Taj Brooks. Mike, it's Texas Tech air raid, not an air raid. So here's what Taj Brooks did combined in 2023 and 2024. 576 carries, 3,043 yards, and 27 touchdowns. Now, if that is a team that throws too much, then what are we doing here? Because we're talking 1,500 yards a year. That's pretty damn good. I think he's going to have his chance to shine here. NFLDraftBuzz.com, which not a sponsor, they could be. If you have never visited that site, really good information on there. You know, it kind of gives you, like, look, they listed him as a workhorse back. And at 5'11", 216, I could definitely see it. He's going to get fed the rock. And I did watch some highlights. They don't have pure cut-ups of this guy, really. Here's what I saw. He's got an upright running style. I'd like to see him just kind of lower his pad level a little bit. But he's very smooth, and he has really good long speed. There is a clip of him. He took a 75-yard run against Penn State a couple years ago for USC. It's a fantastic play. He's effortlessly evasive at times. It's almost like he's not trying. Follows his blocks well, but can shrug off contact when needed. Can be a good receiving back. I saw it. Just really hasn't had a lot of opportunities. And he's a strong lower half that moves piles with good footwork. Not much throughout his career here. Combined, 2 years at USC, 82 carries, 590 yards, and 4 touchdowns, 13 receptions for 97 yards and a touchdown. Woody Marks was out there. And Marshawn Lloyd, well, I think Marshawn Lloyd was before him. No, his freshman year, Marshawn Lloyd would have still been there. Yeah. So he's had guys in front of him. And for whatever reason, he probably could have led USC's backfield this year, but he wanted to go to a place, I guess, where he knew he would be the guy there.
And I think Texas Tech is an up-and-coming program. Also,
they are.
One of the reasons, like, just to be quite honest, if you're not in the know, Texas Tech has a lot of money to throw around right now with the NIL.
They do.
They had a really big donor who just was like, I'm going to make our football team good. And this offseason, they got a lot of really good players in the transfer portal. So,
yeah,
one reason there.
And I like that. I like teams that are good at using the transfer portal. To be honest with you, I just think, you know, maybe at some point we need to cap what these teams can spend. Like, what are we doing here?
We're getting there. We're getting there. It's coming. They already passed some laws and stuff to kind of put like a salary cap where it's like they can only spend like $20 million a year or something like that. So we're getting there.
Yeah, which I think is fine. You know, like,
it's not deserve money, but let's be honest. We don't need to pay some of these guys multi-millions.
I don't know about you, but even if I'm not a millionaire, I'm not giving a lot of money to my alma mater. Just be like, here, give it to this kid.
I fully trust this kid with $3 million as an 18-year-old.
Yeah, I would rather just take the money and give it to St. Jude's, to be honest with you. But hey, that's me. So that's what we got. 2 really good running backs from the state of Texas. Nate, I don't know about you, man. I can't speak for you, but I think you're feeling the same way. I am stoked that college football is coming back very soon.
Absolutely. I'm very excited. It cannot come soon enough.
So we got some more player spotlights for you guys. We're going to be doing this for a little bit more. And then, Nate, we're getting really, really close to college football season.
We sure are.
I'm excited. Speaking of which, we should probably get drafting our C2C leagues pretty soon.
Yes, I'm probably going to be setting those up to start probably this weekend, to be quite honest. So be expecting some messages here in the next couple of days. I will be away on vacation, so I don't know how it's going to work with my C2C supplemental drafts, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, you could always delegate someone to pick for you. I don't
would
know
do
if,
my best not to hog the clock. Hopefully, I think I have Wi-Fi at the Airbnb that we're at, so
yeah,
should be
I'm
okay.
sure. So
No, I didn't have it, or I didn't have Wi-Fi last time in France, so it's Europe. You never really know.
tell me again how Europe's better than the United States. You know, we have
In some
everywhere
things, not everything.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, we got Wi-Fi everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so Nate, why don't you kick it off with your player spotlight? And I'll be honest with you, I heard about this guy on a podcast. I didn't know a lot about him. They didn't talk about him much. They just kind of briefly mentioned him. So I'm glad that you are talking about him tonight.
Yeah, you have a quarterback listed as your player spotlight, and it's someone who I I think is pretty decent. So, and in this coming class, and so I wanted to talk about a quarterback myself and someone that people need to hear about and could possibly be in this draft class, but I would assume more likely than not he will be in the 2027 draft class, and that is Dante Moore, quarterback for Oregon. At 6'3", 210 pounds, he is the new starter for Oregon after Dylan Gabriel goes to the NFL. You might know Dante Moore in his name because he was formerly at UCLA. His recruitment was a really big deal. He goes there as a 5-star quarterback, number 3 in the class, number 4 overall recruit in his recruiting class, and then has kind of an up and down year there. There's definitely some big NIL stuff that happened with him going to UCLA, and it was kind of the beginning of NIL, so it was a big deal that he went there rather than some other schools. Ends up transferring after his freshman year. In the transfer portal is the number 10 overall player, the quarterback 3, once again, 4-star, transfers over to Oregon to sit. Dylan Gabriel is already over there. He knows he's going there to sit. I think this was a very mature move because at UCLA, he threw for 1,600 yards, had an 11-9 touchdown interception ratio, and a 53% completion rate. So not good numbers, let's be honest. And especially when you're thinking about a 5-star recruit, someone who was in high school as a starter for 4 years, a player that people thought could come in and compete right away. UCLA wasn't, in the greatest spot, but I think they had just lost, what's his name? Who was the coach over there when Zach Charbonnet was there? Who was that, Mike?
Wasn't that Chip Kelly?
Yeah, Chip Kelly. Yeah, they just lost Chip Kelly, I believe, or maybe it was, I can't remember exactly what year it was, but things weren't really great for UCLA. And you can see that in his stat line. The first 3 games, he threw for 7 touchdowns and 1 interception against Coastal Carolina, San Diego State, and North Carolina Central. But then once he got into Pac-12 play, really, really struggled, kind of culminating with a game against Oregon State. He had a 42% completion rate, threw 3 interceptions, had his worst PFF grade. And after like beginning with that game, he didn't have a single big-time throw according to PFF the rest of the season. Meanwhile, he had 14 in the first 5 games. So, you can tell just off the stat sheet that he lost his confidence. Whether or not he had a lot of help on the offense, you can talk about that. But he obviously lost his confidence, was not really breaking down the field, he was sped up and making bad decisions. Just not going well. So he transfers, goes to Oregon to sit for a year with that offense, with the offensive minds that are there. Very mature decision, like I said, and didn't see a lot of action last year, but is now set up to be the starter for the Oregon Ducks, and they're excited about him. This is a guy that's got a ton of talent, doesn't have the biggest arm in the world, but is usually pretty good at reading the defense, being very accurate with placement, and was comped to Dak Prescott coming out of college. I think that's a pretty good comp for his play style, a little bit of mobility, but really someone that can sit in the pocket, extend plays when he needs to, but kind of be that point guard, get it to all the guys for Oregon that they have on the offensive side. Now, we do have some question marks, unfortunately, in his receiving core. Evan Stewart did get hurt during spring practice and will miss the entire year. So their wide receiver 1 got hurt. Tez Johnson, Terrence Ferguson both left for the NFL draft. Tez Johnson didn't get drafted. So they have a lot of things to replace in that offense, including Dylan Gabriel with Dante Moore. But they do also have the wide receiver 1 in this past year's wide receiver recruiting class, DeCorian Moore, who is going to be a big-time player for them. So Dante Moore's going to be looking his way quite a bit. The big question mark, we haven't seen Dante Moore since his time with UCLA. We know he's highly talented, but we saw the ups and downs while he was at UCLA. Now that he's sat for a year, been in Oregon, been in that system, and this is his second year there. What is he going to be able to do? Is he going to be able to match those original expectations as a 5-star quarterback coming out of high school, someone that everyone believed in could really be one of the top guys in college? Or is he going to just kind of be an average guy and he can't lift up that Oregon offense, who's, like I said, dealing with some lost production and some injuries, and then that Oregon offense is kind of average. So, a lot of question marks around Dante Moore, but if he hits and he's able to lead that Oregon offense, then he's going to become, someone that we're all talking about and we all know about. So a wide range of possibilities for Dante Moore. I kind of believe in him, to be honest. I'm a fan of Dante Moore, and I think it was a really good decision of him to go and sit for a year. That's not something we usually see from transfers. So I'm believing. So we'll see what happens this year. It'll be something to watch, especially for a team as well known in the contending for the championship as Oregon.
Especially consider if he plays there for 2 years.
Yeah,
even better. So
Bo Nix played for 2 years before he went to the draft. I think, and that's why I said technically he's eligible for 2026, but I highly doubt he comes in and he plays 1 year at Oregon and goes to the NFL. He'd have to be the next Joe Burrow or something.
Yeah, I completely agree. Nate, I'm going to talk about a quarterback as well, and that is Sam Leavitt from Arizona State, 6'2", 210. He is eligible this year, although just like your guy, I think 2027 feels a little bit more likely. I don't think Arizona State's going to be as good this year as they were last year, losing Cam Scatabo. Let's talk about his recruiting. He was a 4-star recruit, but only a 3-star transfer. He had offers from Florida State, Arizona, Washington State, and Michigan State. He originally committed to Washington State, then decommitted and flipped to Michigan State. Didn't really do much there at all. I think he just got in a handful of games and said, hey, man, I want to play. I want to start. I'm gone. So he got gone. Hit the transfer portal in December 23, and then he went to aforementioned Arizona State. He was also Arizona State's first 10-win quarterback since 2014, which pretty cool. Yeah. So I do have some stats for you in 23 at Michigan State. 15 of 23, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Okay, nothing great. Like I said, got in a handful of games, whatever. Last year, 215 of 350, 2,820 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Does have some strengths and weaknesses, Nate, I don't know why I pluralized your name there. Made no sense. Really good ball security. He is very good under pressure. And I did find this stat. It's called perfect strike placement. Never heard of this one before, but it's 58.6%. So that's a very good, according to this metric here. Let's see. He does have pretty decent arm strength, and he processes quite well from what I could see. Does have some weaknesses, and I think one of them can be corrected, and that's the fact that he's a little too close to 200 pounds for my liking. So I think he needs to put on some muscle. Obviously, that could be done in a collegiate and NFL weight room, so I'm not super worried about that. His release could be a little bit quicker, in my opinion, and just as of right now, the sample size is a little bit small, right? We saw what he could do with, I'm thinking of Iowa State. I was going to say Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll. It's the wrong school.
The wide receiver at Arizona State?
Yeah.
Jordan Tyson.
That's it. So what he did with Jordan Tyson, but still, I want to see him distribute the ball a lot. I want to see more yards out of him. And I think this could be one of those things where not having Cam Scatterby there might actually help him a little bit. I've said this before. Call me crazy. Matthew Stafford had some of his best seasons after Calvin Johnson left because he was forced to not constantly look for one player. So when your team around you gets worse, if you are a exceptional quarterback, you have to rise up and learn to distribute it to other people and make the other people around you better instead of that one person elevating you. Does that make sense or sound insane?
It makes sense.
The only thing I wish, and there's nothing I can do about this, I wish I saw a little bit more Arizona State, but on the East Coast, we don't get a ton of those games unless they're on later. But if they're on later and there's and Oregon's on, we'll probably get Oregon just because.
Yeah, probably.
That's just how it goes.
That's going to be the national game.
Yeah, exactly. So 2 quarterbacks for you guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Sam Leavitt and Dante Moore.
Yeah, 2 fun guys. I think that'll be a lot of fun to watch this year.
Yeah, I think so too. So it's going to wrap it up for us. I see I got to go. I'm I'm all out of talking right now. So we'll be back next week with 2 more player spotlights. For Nate, I'm Mike. Thank you for listening.